The IFP has shut down views that its founding father, Prince Mangosuthu Buthelezi, leaves behind a legacy marked by violence that tore through townships in the country in the late 80s and 90s. Party President Velenkosini Hlabisa says it's unfair that Buthelezi has been portrayed as the face of violence, while the ANC has been left blameless. Buthelezi died in the early hours of Saturday morning, almost 2 weeks after celebrating his 95th birthday. He led the IFP for more than 4 decades before stepping down back in 2019. Hlabisa has described Buthelezi as a peacemaker.
The truth is, the majority and a bigger majority of people as well as stakeholders, would it be political organizations or key stakeholders in the society, they speak with one voice to acknowledge the role Prince Mangosuthu Buthelezi played in our country. I think I can end with that one, but let me begin with the very few people who want to be opportunistic and use this opportunity instead of mourning, point out to the founder of the IFP as someone who was involved alone in violence. You will agree with me. The IFP was involved with the ANC in violence. I'm not hearing anyone saying Oliver Tambo was a killer, Madiba was a killer, because it was the time of these leaders that the two organizations got involved in a black-on-black violence. That is why we are saying the very few are very reckless, because they are not treating the IFP in a similar way they should be treating the ANC.
Let's speak to political analyst Sakhile Hadebe. Thank you very much for your time this afternoon. What is your recollection or understanding of history when it comes to the figure that is Mangosuthu Buthelezi?
Good afternoon, and thank you very much for this opportunity. I think one of the things which we all South Africans can agree on is that Chief Buthelezi is one of a very complex character in nature. Why I'm referring to him as a complex character? Look at his legacy. You cannot afford to be one-dimensional if you are assessing his life and his legacy throughout the history. There are few things which one comes to mind, especially if you talk about Chief Buthelezi. One is that we know that Chief Buthelezi has been at the center of the royal family, KwaZulu, as the traditional prime minister for a very long time. Not just serving only one king. He served the current king, Newzroom. He served previously to Mdlogombani, King Zwelithini, and also Peguzulu Cyprian. But where we want to look to is Buthelezi as the founder of the IFP and the leader of the IFP. We know that during the 70s, Chief Buthelezi was the member of the ANC Youth League, also alongside other prominent figures of the ANC. So by implication, he was a member of the ANC, and he was part of those people whom were fighting what we call apartheid at that point in time. And interestingly, after the fallout of the relations between the ANC and Inkatha, then he became, toward the 80s and early 90s, he became close friends and close ties with the apartheid regime. So it's quite interesting to see how he shifted from being an anti-apartheid activist to what we can term as apartheid collaborator. Chief Buthelezi is a statement. By all means, you cannot take that away from him. Despite anything else, you cannot take it away from the fact that Chief Buthelezi, in the history of KwaZulu especially, he served for a very long time, leaving a legacy, even in terms of infrastructure. Look at your buildings at Olundi. If you are at Olundi, you can tell that this is a legislature. By looking
Mr.
at
Hadebe, sure. If you allow me to join you there, you speak of how he led the IFP. How would you characterize his leadership?
I think we can say it was bordering on dictatorship. It was bordering on dictatorship. There are two main reasons why I would say that. One is because during the prime of the IFP in KwaZulu-Natal, the government seemingly it was mostly like a one-party state, the province at that time. Secondly, look at the period in which he led. So the IFP itself, it became a part and parcel of Buthelezi. There is nothing much you can say about the IFP without Chief Buthelezi. So now that is no more. I think the IFP is going to suffer that consequences. We will start to see the internal battles. The fate of the COPE, we are going to see it within the IFP. And even now we know that there are different states. There are those who believe in the current leader, Hlabisa, and there are those who are opposing him. But Hlabisa, luckily so far, he had a backing of Chief Buthelezi. Now that's not the case anymore. But looking to the next year's elections, I think the IFP is going to score quite a significant number of votes, because look at how it's performing now on by-elections. And now his departure, to the certain extent, it's going to boost the numbers, because there will be what we can see or term as a sympathy vote. There will be a sympathy vote, something like we'll go like do it for Sheng. So we will have something like that. But after the election, it's going to decline massively, and it's going to suffer the consequences.
Interesting.
Because of his leadership, he should have allowed other leaders to take over while he was still energetic.
Thank you very much for availing yourself for us this afternoon, political analyst Sakhile Hadebe.